Hello, it's us again, Annie de la Pruda,
And Charlotte Farish Edwards from AppCare.
and we thought we'd share something about the creative process behind the logo design that we came up with. I know that a lot of the AppCare members will find it interesting and familiar, but yeah, hopefully you'll find it interesting to hear some of the process behind the scenes. We did the earlier video about the meaning, but this is more about the process that we went through that we wanted to share.
Yeah, it definitely didn't just arrive as a fully formed logo. It's quite a journey that we've been on. So if I just share the logo that will be used for the symposium that we are really proud of, aren't we?
Yeah, really, and really love it. Really, really love it, actually.
Yeah, but yeah, to arrive here took hours and hours, sort of days, weeks, months of work, didn't it? So I don't know if you want to share, Annie, maybe some of our first attempts, our early drafts of the logo.
Yeah, so I'll share where this isn't even the very first start, which actually was on a notepad, but yeah, if I share my screen here, I'll show you one of the first iterations that we started off when we were using Canva. And it was really even, I guess, even how we came to do the logo, because we were talking at, I think, the organising committee, and somebody was talking about a logo, and it was just instant. Charlotte and I were like, "Oh, we'll do the logo. This is fun. This is the fun part for us, getting into a bit of design and working with creative materials and digital as well. In particular, is quite fun."
Yeah.
And so I started in Canva, and that was, I think, intensely annoying for Charlotte. It was good on Procreate, which is another app that you can use on an iPad.
And that was quite a learning curve for you, wasn't it, to learn Procreate? Because remember the first version of the potato that you drew, I think you did in PowerPoint, didn't you?
I think so, yes. And I was really super resistant to Procreate for like 2 years, I think. I was like, no, I don't need Procreate. Yeah, I was so hesitant about it. And so it forced me to get to learn it properly. Although I had downloaded it, I had used it a tiny bit, but this forced me to learn. And I think that's also part of the process of creativity, is about solving problems. And it's unintended learning around something that you don't realize you're learning. You're just doing something to solve a problem that actually is part of the essence of creative growth, really, that you don't always know what you're doing or what you're learning until after, and then you look back.
Yeah. And we had sort of an idea of what we wanted, but again, to get that final version that we were happy with, there was a lot of problem solving technically as well as in terms of what it looked like.
Because you didn't know how to make tight bend in a circle and getting it exactly right. And this was actually a design that we found on a logo website thing that we wanted to use. And then I looked at the rules. I was happy to buy it, but it said you can't use it for logos. So this was the first time we put this here and then started to try and adapt it.
Yeah.
So use it really and not get in trouble.
Yeah. So we ended up drawing our own version of it, didn't we?
Yeah, and I think also what was really important to this process is the fact that I guess Charlotte and I have worked together and we're colleagues at AppCab, but we also have a relationship that is deeply, deeply accepting and person-centered, where it's not only about accepting differences in our processes and ways of looking at things, but actually embracing it and being really embracing the difference and what those differences bring. Like, for example, I'm absolutely crap at some of the detail, absolutely crap. And Charlotte isn't. She's really good at that.
And you're very much more sort of spontaneous and coming up with loads of ideas. And yeah, sometimes there can be sort of, I don't know what the word is, I don't know, it's friction but but there's that acceptance of how we're just different. And actually, when we bring our strengths together, really amazing things happen.
Yeah, and I guess maybe it's something like friction or something like I don't know. But I know sometimes I would go to Canva and so I'm just going to change them, and then I'd put 10 designs, and that would be quite frightening for Charlotte. It's like, oh my God, what are you doing? And because that's how I work, is like I'll just suddenly do 10, 12, 20 things and then look at them again. But because I didn't always save things, that can be really annoying when you're working with other people. Anyway, so here's then you can see like, you know, some of the drawing that I was trying to do here in Canva and trying to change things and thinking that looked weak and playing with different sort of things to put in or out.
Yeah, there was a lot of playing, wasn't there? A lot of just trying things out and seeing what they look like and just knowing. I think both of us just know if it looked right or if it didn't. We didn't really know why, but just that feeling of that.
And I think that's very much speaks to the creative process, but also a felt sense. It's not just, it isn't only a felt sense. There's skill involved and vision, but it also comes back to this something about a felt sense, doesn't it? When we were looking, we're like, it doesn't feel right, it just doesn't look right. There's something not right about
Don't
it.
say why, but yeah, we just know.
But here we were sort of playing with colours, and then these were the first bits of the rainbow. Because in the end, Charlotte redrew the potato plant. I can't remember which one it was now, going back. I think this is one you
Yeah,
redrew.
yeah.
Charlotte redrew.
And then you redrew the top of it, didn't you? The leaves to give it a slightly different look, which
Yeah, because for some reason I wasn't happy with that. It looked wrong, too close to the other. So then we drew it to this, and you can see here all the different colours I kept trying out. And it was really frustrating because Procreate's colours wouldn't quite match the colours I wanted, which were on Canva, and trying to just replicate those in Procreate, which was a whole other process. And I think you could see also the dirt, things like this that lots of other people wouldn't really care about, the exact shade or the exact number of spots of dirt don't matter to other people. And we knew that, but it did matter to us.
yeah. I think that's one thing we really do agree on, isn't it? That the details of it really matter.
And even here with this logo, the fact that it didn't reach right to the edges was really annoying for Charlotte. I could have lived with it. If you see, because the circle isn't exactly a circle, wherever we put it, it didn't quite work. So Charlotte redrew it. Charlotte just redrew the whole thing. And I guess that was a learning curve for you too, Charlotte,
Yeah,
even to Procreate.
yeah, definitely. New skills for me as well. And in Canva as well.
Yeah, because it forced you to use Canva.
Mm.
And then here were some of the other iterations that we played with, and we thought this looked too fiery, too much energy.
And you can see around sort of the edges of these ones where we've put the organisation logos, and that was part of it. And then that didn't fit with the website. So we had sort of not just what we wanted, but things to do with the website and technical requirements. So we also had to readjust things. And yeah, there were a lot of different aspects that we had to consider.
Which we didn't know we had to consider because we're not logo designers.
No, and we just do this in our spare time.
And so we were like happily doing this design thing and not really thinking about the different needs of the different websites. And also even things like, could we reproduce it if people wanted to put it on bottles, for example, at the conference? We haven't thought of that, how things would sort of work or not work.
And there was difficulty as well with the app that will be part of the conference. The writing around the edge wasn't suitable, we're told. So we took it away, and that was another issue, wasn't it? It didn't just look right without the writing. And we really fought to have that included, even if it couldn't be read. So yeah, there's been a lot of fighting for this logo.
we did, and there was like one of the other versions. Oh, and this one was the very first potato that we started with, actually, which I'd forgotten about, but I had drawn this potato and I wanted to use this, but it didn't work well when it was reduced down, and when we looked at it on the phone, it just didn't look right, although I still love it. There's something, I don't know, quite pleasing for me about that. I think it looks a bit Japanese, which doesn't fit with the logo. So I think it's also maybe something in this process was about just being able to let go of things, is not holding on to everything so tightly. Yeah, that was that potato with the rainbow effect. That was without. And you can see here it just looks stark. It doesn't look hopeful at all.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, how one little element can change the feel of it.
Yeah. And so it really was a collaborative process. So here we were trying it out on the PCE Europe website to see what it would look like there. Yeah, which we thought it looked good at that point, but that was still with the old logo. So we had a lot more to sort of go through before we got to that. Here again is one of the original drawings from Charlotte. And then here's the one that we ended up with. So hopefully you
That's
can see
not quite the final one. That's the one where, again, another tiny little issue where it wasn't quite central.
Yeah. And it hasn't got the finished rainbow one that you did. So if I stop sharing, and then people can see. But even that snippet, if you like, of some of our process of working doesn't include the 20 or so that I deleted of totally different designs, plus all the stuff on Procreate, on Charlotte's side and on my side. And all of that, I guess, was the fun part for us.
Yeah. So if I just share again now the final one, and maybe some of those elements that we've talked about and things that were put in and things that we've let go of. And this is the final version that we have.
And hopefully now you can see the beauty. Well, it's beautiful to me, I guess, because we know what went into it, of how the colours do touch the black line that's in there, and how the centre is so balanced and the tree is so much larger than the first iterations, and shades of the colour was all intentional. Yeah, deeply intentional, and a learning curve. And it was really, we did laugh quite a lot after lots of the committee meetings, because what we were laughing at was all the, not the chaos, but let's say all of the back end of trying to get this logo to work, where the committees thought we were like super good and like some clever logo designers, and we're really not. And I guess,
sorry. Unfortunately, the committee were really happy with what we did, that we went through this whole process, and they were like, great, not please can you change it?
No, and I think there is something also about having courage in the creative process to just jump in and do something, even if you don't know how or what it's going to turn out like, and just hold the process when things are going wrong and it's all messy. And we did also laugh how for some people in the committee saw this as a chore, but we were like, no, this is the fun bit. So those hours that we put in didn't feel like a chore at all. They were pretty willing. We did it willingly, but sometimes not always to the time, because sometimes
the creative process just, we need to wait for inspiration to strike.
Sometimes, but yeah. So hopefully you'll be able to hear some of those things in that also link to the conference theme and to creativity, and how tightly enmeshed that is with the actualizing tendency, but also something about the need for person-centered qualities of deep regard for each other's processes and input, for it to be truly collaborative and end up with something that we think is wonderful, that we hope you think is wonderful too.
Yeah, and hopefully when you come to the conference and you see our logo, you'll remember some of this. it's not just a logo that's been taken from some clip art, but a lot of thought and care has been put into it.
Hope you found that interesting. Look forward to seeing you at the conference.
Bye.
Bye.